if you're solving somebody's problem, you are more likely to not only get them to follow you on whatever platform you create your content on, but also to have those people to pay for the products or services that you are offering, because they are also solving their problem that they came here for in the first place. This course is actually one of those examples. I have a YouTube channel that people can watch and learn from it, but it's very general, because the audience is very sort of vague in different countries and different ages and so forth. But my courses are very much targeting a certain type of the a business person who is going to be treating their social media platform following and a project as something that they're looking to make income on. And therefore now I am zooming in on somebody whose problem I can solve. And all of my courses are solving one problem or the other. So this is actually a pretty good example of a model that you should follow as well. So let's talk about how you can come up with that topic or shape whatever it is that you already have in mind into something that can definitely attract people who would be willing to pay money to you or your sponsors. Okay, so let's start with just passion from struggles. Everybody had something that they've struggled or struggling with in their lives. And what happens when you struggle through something, especially when you succeed? You learn lessons. And a lot of times, it's not even the lessons that you've learned that can help other people, though it is a topic on its own, of course, regardless of what niche we're talking about. But it's just the fact that people have somebody else who's sharing their journey with them, and just seeing somebody else struggle with the same issue is a help on its own. So think about what struggles have you gone in your life. And by the way, that's not even that easy. Sometimes people have gone through difficulties in their lives and never thought about them being difficulties, because everybody around them had the same issue, or this is just how the life was wherever you grew up, especially if you grew up in a different country. But so you got to kind of step back, or maybe even talk to people who are around you, or people who maybe recently met you, and ask them what it is that they admire about you. What are the difficulties that you have overcome from their point of view that made you stronger as a person, as an individual. And those are really good topics to explore. As a matter of fact, your friends and family and maybe even coworkers are a very good resource for you to kind of get a better reflection of yourself and think of some of the value that you might have to them. Because if they're your friends and family, they definitely see value in you as an individual. So they are essentially your number one fans, and they will be able to tell you what are the things that you can share with other people and teach other people because of the struggles and because of the passion that you have for that. All right, so let's move on to just simply being an advisor to other people. Once again, step back, think about, have you helped somebody in your life? I'm sure you have. Is it something that you have done on a regular basis? Maybe you volunteer somewhere and you help, maybe an animal shelter. You help to adopt puppies or kittens, or maybe you worked with youth and helped, a youth that's in trouble to find a way, or maybe you helped maybe somebody with a more unfortunate financial situation to find a job, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Again, this is maybe something you're not aware of. But ask around, people will quickly point out your positive qualities, especially when they were beneficiaries of your advice. So if you believe that you've helped other people by giving them advice, or this could be part of your career, you could be a counselor, you could be a mechanic, you're helping people in those positions. As a matter of fact, a lot of jobs is where you're helping people, especially if you work in a service industry, if you work in a healthcare industry, you are helping other people. You may not think of it that way, but you are. And it could also be one of the topics and one of the strengths that you would have as an on-air personality, because that's what you're going to be, unless you're going to be a writer, a podcaster, but basically a talent in front of the mic or a camera or a keyboard. All right. And this is kind of getting us into the topic of career success. What I mentioned before is, think about things that you've succeeded. Your career, of course, if you were able to maybe move up the ladder of corporate ladder where you work, if you started maybe as a cashier in McDonald's and then you ended up being a branch manager or regional manager within the same company, or maybe you've struggled maybe being a minority and being hired for a position that normally a non-minority gets. Same thing goes for gender and so many other different things where you were able to figure something out how to succeed in your workplace with your career. If you're a business owner, that's another thing. There are quite a few business owners out there looking for success stories, looking for advice. So whatever it is that you've accomplished in your career, it doesn't have to be, I made this much money or I have this title. It could be those little things that you've accomplished that will help a lot of people, especially if you talk about them, especially you've opened up to them. Because, being on social media, it's all about being honest and genuine and sharing your experiences and showing your insecurities. That's just part of it. If you're not ready to be honest with your audience, it will be a much tougher journey for you. Obviously, hobbies. And I know I've talked almost down on hobbies, saying that, if you start a YouTube channel or a podcast as a hobby, it's not a business. You're not very likely to succeed, or at least it's going to be much harder to succeed. So, but don't confuse that with hobbies that you have that help you to acquire a skill, right? If your hobby is hiking, I'm sure, especially if you're really into it, you can help other people make suggestions, or a lot of times it's a vlog. People just want to see someone else doing something that they're doing as well and seeing their experiences. So, let's not confuse those. Hobbies, as long as it's something that you're able to help other people with, either by sharing your skill or just simply sharing your story, that's actually not a bad place to start. And hobbies is something that you don't need your friends and family to point it out to you, right? Life hacks. This is something that people do all the time without knowing about it. Some of us figured out how to manage their schedules, how to make sure that their to-do list is up to par, how to manage their time, how we can go about the day accomplishing twice as many things as everybody else. There are little life hacks as well. Some people figure out how to do their nails or their hair, or how to fix their squeaking bed. Just all these little things that you just think is just part of your life. You're just living life. No, again, step back, ask your friends and family and see. Maybe you're really good at something particular. Maybe this is where kind of giving advice to people and having those life hacks actually helps. I know somebody who is really good at utilizing her lunchtime. She has a corporate job, but she figured out how to spend lunch, not just eating lunch, but figured out how to save that time to accomplish a lot of other things. So by the end of the day, she has more time to spend on her business and with her family. The lunchtime, people kind of realize that they wasted. Same thing goes when you're driving a car. That is a life hack that there's just so many life hacks. So think about a particular thing or a few things that you got really good at, and think creating a project around it. The last one, but not obviously least, is inside track. If you have been working in a certain industry, it could be work, it could be a hobby, maybe you were just around people in a certain industry, maybe your a wife or your kids or your family is in a certain industry, and you know something specific about that industry, that is huge value. For example, if you're working as a flight attendant on airplanes, you are a huge resource to those of us who travel a lot, and you can advise people about vacations. That's a huge population that likes that, but also us business people who fly all the time, and we need a whole different set of advice on how to fly. Like, for example, and I'm not going to share it because it's kind of like inside track information, but how to get your seats upgraded for free on a flight that has free business class or free first class seats. There's always something that people know when they're inside of the industry, and sharing that is a huge benefit. I would watch a channel that will consistently help me fly, especially internationally. There's always something new that I learn. There's always something new that will make my life easier. And this is where we're coming full circle as far as solving somebody's problem. I can't emphasize it, and I'm sure you can relate that you a lot of times you're willing to pay somebody to solve your problem. As a matter of fact, that's what services are. Service is when you did something for somebody and you solve their problem. Either you fixed their car or you fed them and they're no longer hungry. You just solve their problem. So go everything I just said, and don't be limited by that list. Just make sure that whatever it is that you want to talk about on your whatever social media platform you're going to choose within your project solves a problem. And of course, you have multiple topics and it's part of the niche. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about those a few other things that you need to make sure that you do on top of solving someone's problem. So let's get to those right now.